Welcome to the Learn to Sew Academy channel. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you.
Now, anytime you are making a gather skirt, just have in mind rectangles, because what you're doing here basically is you're just going to be cutting two rectangles. This is why I've drawn this rectangle right here. So basically you're just making two equal size rectangles. You're just cutting two fabric that are of equal sizes, and then you work on the waistband. Now, if you're going to have a zipper in the middle, then you will need to cut it at the back into two to make room for your zip allowance. But in this case, it's a gathered skirt with an elastic waistband. We do not need a zipper. So you're just going to be thinking two rectangles. Just have that at the back of your mind, that you're cutting two rectangles. You need just two measurements. You need the waist and you need a skirt length. Now, the gathered skirt we're going to be making is going to be very simple. We're going to use an external elastic waistband. So we're going to be using a metallic elastic. For this project, you're going to be needing your fabric, some lining where applicable, a tailor's chalk to mark your fabric, scissors for cutting, some pins, matching thread, measuring tape, and a metallic waistband elastic. I'm using a 1¾ inch wide metallic waistband elastic in this project. Now for the fabric I have, the length of my fabric here is 46 inches. 46 inches. So I'm going to be using this full length for my gathers. Now for the length of my skirt length is going to be dependent on how long I want it to be. And then you have to consider your additional external waistband that you're going to be adding. So you have to consider that. You also have to remember that you're going to need at least ½ an inch seam allowance at the top where you'll be joining the waistband. And then you need some allowances at the bottom where you will be turning in your fabric. So for this particular case, I'm going to leave ½ an inch at the bottom, ½ an inch at the top. I'm doing ½ an inch at the bottom because I'm going to serge my edges and turn it in when it's time for me to sew this. So this is what we're going to be doing with this fabric. So as you can see, I have folded this into two right now. So I just need to cut this into two because I need two rectangles. So there we have two rectangles, and that's exactly what we're also going to do for the lining. If you did not need a lining, if this was not a see-through material, you are already done cutting your gathered skirt. To cut the lining, just fold it in two like this as well. Get one of your rectangles that you cut earlier and just place it on it like so. What I'm going to do here now, you can either, depends on you, you can either cut an exact length, the same exact length, or you can decide that you want the skirt, you want the lining to be a little shorter than the skirt. So in that case, you have a little of the see-through showing. So I'm just going to cut an exact length over here. But by the time I sew this, I'm going to turn my lining in twice. So in that case, I'll make it just a tiny bit shorter than my main fabric, because my main fabric, I'm only turning that in once. And then I'm going to trim the sides so I have the same exact size for both the fabric and the lining. So I'm going to make one more for the lining, and then we're done with cutting the skirt. Place your fabric right side facing right side and sew the side of your skirt. You sew the first side of the rectangle and you go to the other side and you sew that too from the top to the bottom, again with right side facing right side. If you have a fabric that shifts easily, you can use a pin to hold it in place to help secure your fabric when you start sewing it. Next, you want to do the same for your lining. You want to place your lining and sew the sides as well for the lining, just like you did for the main fabric. You want to place them together and sew across the side for the lining as well. Now that I've joined both sides, it's always a good idea to iron your seams, to flatten it. You have to iron it flat. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flatten my seams. I'm going to iron this way. I'm going to iron this way. Now, if you're dealing with a delicate fabric, you may want to get an ironing cloth to place over it before putting your iron on it. Or you can also use any cotton fabric. Now, the next thing to do is to take your fabric and your lining, turn the fabric right side out, and then take your lining. What you want to do is you want to now align where you have your seam. Make sure you open your seam. So you align the seam from your fabric with the seam from your lining. So you let the seam face each other. So in other words, you have the right side of your fabric facing out and the right side of the seam is facing inwards. So, and you want to now pin that point. You do the same thing at the other end. And since you've cut them all to be equal, so they should all match perfectly. And when you do this, you want to make sure that your lining is not twisting inside, that is laying straight, and you also match it seam to seam like that. Pin it all around, and then we go to the sewing machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to run gather stitch. You're going to be running gather stitch all across the edge. So if you're comfortable not pinning, you can choose not to pin. But what you want to do again is you want to run a gather stitch like 1/4 of an inch from the tip. You go ahead and you run gather stitch all across. To do a gather stitch, you just need to increase your stitch length to maybe around 5 inches. And then you run it all across from one end to the other. That way you're holding your lining together with the fabric. So once you run the gather stitch, you just start to gather your stitches. You try to draw your thread so that you form your gathers at the top of the skirt, like so. So we're going to do this until we have gathers all around. You can start from one end and then you go in and start gathering from the other end. That way it makes the work easier for you. So we're just going to do our gathers now. Now you want to gather the stitches to your desired waist, whatever you wanted your waist to be. That's what you want to gather this to. And then you take your metallic waistband. What's going to happen is we're going to be sewing this on top of this, just like so. So it's going to go all around the waist. So it's going to be the waistband. So you want to take your waistband now. As you can see, it's stretchy because of course it's elastic. So when you cut your waistband, you want to cut it depending on how snug you want it to be. Now you can cut anything between 2 to 5 inches less, depending on how tight you want it, how snug you want it to be. So, and I always stress that for elastic, it's better for you to cut too much than to cut it too little. So you may want to be as conservative as possible and actually measure more than you think you need. And you can always adjust it to the less, you can always adjust it to fit you the way you want it to. Especially if you're just starting to work with elastic, I strongly advise you measure more than you may think that you need. So again, you don't measure your exact waist because this is going to stretch. Another way you can do it is to wrap this around your waist and see if it's snug enough. So when you wrap it around your waist and you're comfortable with it, you can also use that to measure. So right here, I'm going to be cutting 2 inches less than what I need. Okay, I need a waistband of 25. So I've cut this to be 2 inches less. And then I added some half an inch allowance. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, as you can see, I've serged the edges. I'm going to go ahead and serge these edges too because I don't want this fabric to fray. And plus it's going to give me a neat finish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead now and I'm just going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew this down like so. Now, as I said, I left an extra inch after I cut my waist less 2 inches. That was what I wanted. I cut my waist less 2 inches and then I left half an inch on both sides to fold it over. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew this down like so. And I'm going to turn it around and lock it in again on this side. Or you can just do like a rectangle all across like that. Then if you also have a zigzag machine, if you don't have a serging machine, you can use your zigzag right here to hold this in, and you can even use your zigzag over here. So that's the next stage that I'm going to be working on. Now you want to align the elastic right at the edge like so. You want the elastic, you want to pin it to the edge of your gathered skirt, and then we're going to go to the sewing machine and you're going to sew just at that tip. Now this is where I've joined it right here. That's how I've joined it in. So we're going to go, I put that on the side where we have the joining on the side. You can choose to put it at the back too, but I prefer to put it at the side since we don't really have a back per se. So that way we can use either of the side for the front or the back. So just go around at that edge right there. You run a machine out. These are waistband is in place. So this is what we have. So now we're going to go to the bottom and start to work on the bottom of the skirt. So we're just going to turn this in like so, and then we'll go all around the skirt, turning it in like so, and we're just going to sew this all around the skirt. Then for the, now notice that the way we folded it in is from the seam inward like that, so that by the time we're done, this is how the inside is going to look like. There won't be any of our rough edges showing on the outside. So the rough edges are all facing each other. And then we'll come also to our main fabric. As you can see, I've searched the edges, I've overlocked the edges. So we're just going to go and fold it in once like so. And then I'm going to sew this all around the skirt as well. And that will complete our skirt. So this is what the skirt looks like. That's the final look of the skirt. And this can either be the front or the back. It doesn't matter because they are the same, both in the front and the back. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. Thank you.